Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever had that feeling, that little whisper, that your body is trying to tell you something? Well, today, we're going to learn how to decode those secret signals it sends every single day, the ones you might be completely overlooking. You know what I'm talking about, right? That one shoulder that's always tight, or that weird random itch that pops up out of nowhere. We usually just brush it off, but what if it's not random at all? What if these are all chapters in a much bigger story your body is trying to tell? All right, so let's dive right in. First up, your body's secret signals. In this part, we're going to totally reframe how we think about these common little symptoms. Instead of just seeing them as annoyances, we're going to start treating them like crucial data points about what's happening inside. I mean, it's so easy to do, isn't it? Oh, I slept funny. I guess I pushed it too hard at the gym. Or the classic, well, I'm just getting older. We've got a million explanations, and we just kind of normalize these little aches and pains as the background noise of being alive.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. We're going to explore this idea that these aren't just isolated incidents. What if they're actually a coherent set of signals, a trail of breadcrumbs that, if we just learn how to read them, can point to something really specific going on inside our bodies?
So now for the fun part, decoding the daily clues. It's time to put on our detective hats and start examining the evidence. Each of these common complaints is a clue in a pretty compelling health mystery, and we're going to look at them one by one.
Okay, our first clue is persistent itchiness. And look, I'm not talking about a mosquito bite here. This is that deeper, kind of all-over itch that doesn't seem to have a cause. You know, it's not dry skin, it's not an allergy, it just shows up.
Next up on our list, achy joints. And again, we're not talking about the soreness you feel after a big hike. This is more of a general, widespread achiness that you can't really pin down. It's just there, kind of making you feel stiff and creaky.
Now this next one is fascinating because of how specific it is. Clue number 3 is tension, but not just anywhere, specifically in your right shoulder, right in that trap muscle. It feels like a stubborn knot that no amount of massaging can get rid of. Why the right side? We're going to get to that. It's a very peculiar piece of evidence.
And our final clue is maybe the most noticeable one, a yellowish tinge in the whites of your eyes. This is a classic sign called jaundice, and it's a major signal flare that a key system in your body is under some serious stress. This is definitely not one to ignore.
Okay, so let's move on to connecting the dots. We've got our clues laid out on the table: the itchiness, the achy joints, that tight right shoulder, and the yellowing eyes. Separately, they seem totally random, but now we're going to see the pattern they create when we put them all together.
So you could look at all this as just a list of random, unlucky annoyances. But what if you look at it another way? What if these things actually form a coherent blueprint, a clear plan pointing directly to a single source for the whole problem? And boom, here's the solution to our mystery. The culprit behind all these seemingly disconnected symptoms can often be one of the hardest working organs in your entire body, your liver. You see, when the liver gets stressed, things like bile can back up, which can cause itchiness, jaundice, and even send pain signals to, yep, you guessed it, the right shoulder.
Now, this specific condition has a pretty clinical name, hepatic lipid accumulation, but you probably know it by its more common name, fatty liver. And really, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a condition where too much fat builds up inside the liver cells, basically gumming up the works.
This brings us to a really important part of the story, the 88% problem. Because knowing the liver is the culprit is one thing, but what's the motive? What's the root cause? To really get it, we need to dig a little deeper and find out what's causing the liver to store all that fat in the first place. And you know, it makes so much sense. We are naturally curious about ourselves. It's so empowering to find a clear blueprint that explains how all these seemingly chaotic symptoms might actually be connected. So this leads us to the big question, right? If a stressed fatty liver is causing all these symptoms, then what's causing the fatty liver? What's the engine driving this whole chain reaction?
The answer is tied to this pretty staggering number, 88%. Just let that sink in for a second. According to some major studies, that's the percentage of the adult population that may have some degree of insulin resistance, which is the primary driver here.
So let me break down how it works. It's actually pretty simple. Normally, your body uses the food you eat for energy right away. But when insulin resistance develops, your cells kind of stop listening to the insulin signal, so that energy can't get where it needs to go. Your liver, trying to be helpful, swoops in, pulls that excess energy out of your blood, and stores it as fat for later. Over time, that process is exactly what leads to a fatty liver.
And finally, let's bring this all home and ask, what is your body saying? Look, this information isn't meant to scare you. It's about empowering you. It's about giving you a new lens, a new way to listen to and understand what your body might be trying to communicate.
And this is the most important thing to remember. The goal here is absolutely not to self-diagnose. The goal is to become a better, more informed listener. Think of these signs as your body's way of sending you important data about its internal environment. So, let's look at our clues one last time. That itchiness, the achy joints, that super specific tension in your right shoulder, the yellowing in the eyes, we now know that they might not just be random annoyances. They are potential messages from a vital organ that might be asking for your attention.
And that's really where we'll leave it, with a simple but pretty profound thought. Every single day, your body is talking to you. It's using this complex language of signals and sensations. The real question is, are you listening?